Okay. I'm going to read three poems. They were all written fairly recently. The first one will be in CC&D magazine, where David's been published. My Age of Violence. November 22nd, 1963, the day that the age of violence of my lifetime began. Lee Harvey Oswald killed the president of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, turning my life around as well as that of the country. We had presidential assassinations before, Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, but they were well before my life and simply stories in history books. But while we have two more high-profile assassinations in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy, the nut murderers had already begun to emerge in 1966 with Charles Whitman in the Texas Towers shooting pedestrians below in the streets. And then in 1969, the country was shocked by the Manson family and its senseless killings. Even John Hinckley's assassination attempt in 1981 of President Ronald Reagan, not because of his political stances, but rather to impress actress Jodie Foster, who didn't even know him, could be classified as crazy. And then we turned hate to crazy, hate for blacks, Jews, gays, Muslims, children, and who the hell knows? And we got Parkland, Columbine, the Pittsburgh Synagogue, Uvalde, the Q, Chesapeake Walnut, and many, many more. In 2022, we have to date 3,179 shootings. That's 4 or more people shot by the shooter, in which 637 died and more than 2,500 injured. When will it end? When will the hate go away? When will the crazy go away? When will the rapid fire weapons be banned? We may not be able to eliminate the hate and the crazy, but less will die if we eliminate the rapid fire weapons. Perhaps the great Pete Hamill wrote years ago, how many home runs would Babe Ruth have hit without a bat? And then two recent ones. What I learned in places, Inwood, Manhattan, New York City, our Catholic Jewish neighborhood, drink more beer faster than most living beings, bury a jump shot, and build lifelong friendships. New Rochelle, New York, I'm in a college, develop an appreciation of the liberal arts and more of the above. Brooklyn, New York, U.S. Federal Service, dive into technology, start a 50-year career. Lawton, Oklahoma, Fort Sill, U.S. Army base, learn to work with people from very diverse backgrounds and interests, come face to face with racial bigotry. Riverdale, Bronx, New York, start a family, be responsible for others. Wall Street, New York, become a manager of people, become an entrepreneur, find the woman. Westchester County, New York, co-run a business, raise pests, become a published writer, become a college professor, become a poet, love the woman more, find joy and contentment. And the most recent, warm feelings on a cold, rainy night. I was driving home on a dark and rainy night from a Yorktown town board meeting, and I overshot the entrance to the Conic State Parkway. But I turned right anyhow and wound up in the ditch with me in the car at a 30-degree angle from the road. Wonderful. While I was cursing myself and wondering whether to call 911 or tow service, people began to stop and get out of their cars in the downpour of a heavy rain and to see if I were hurt and to offer help. Embarrassed by at them standing in the rain because of the plight in which I put myself, I just assured them I was okay and thanked them for their concerns. I called the local towing service. While I was waiting, a local police officer stopped his patrol car, got out in the rain, and came over to see if I was hurt or had been drinking. Satisfied that neither was the case, he took my information, called the towing service, ensuring that help was coming, and with him standing out in the rain, we began the conversation. It turned out that he had been with the New York City police before transferring to Yorktown, And that I only moved from New York City to Yorktown, but had an NYPD father and grandfather that was also familiar with the area that he had served in the city. After a while, the tow truck arrived, our conversation ended, and the officer routed traffic around the scene while the tow operator examined the situation all in the heavy rain. Finally, after a multi-towing operation, the car was righted and set by the parkway, and I was ready to go. I felt that the towing operator had gone beyond normal duty, walking around in the rain and making hookups by flashlight. When I offered him a tip, he said, "No, not necessary." "Are you sure?" "Yes, but thank you anyhow." As I drove home, I thought that while an hour and a half was a long time to be stuck in a car at a 30-degree angle, the experience of meeting all those helpful rain-soaked people may have been worth it. Thank you for putting up with me.